Hopefully we are all here to learn about the open call at Locust Projects because this is what this is about. My name is Elizabeth Withstandley. I am one of the artists that founded the organization many years ago. We haven't actually done one of these for the open call before, but I wanted to give everybody the opportunity to ask questions and really understand our space and what we're looking for in the proposals, because we want your proposals to be as competitive as they can be and complete, because we hope that we can show your work. So I'm just going to go through some things about Locust Projects. If you're new to the organization, you might not know what we're all about, but we are a not-for-profit. In the open call, we invite local, national, and international artists. We're running 2 open calls simultaneously right now. One for the main gallery, which is 1,500 square feet approximately, and one for the project room. So they're 2 different open calls. Each time we do an open call, we put together a committee of artists who have shown at the space before, both local and international, and also curators, to review the proposals and give them all scores so that we can figure out what fits best into our schedule this year. So we provide a budget and exhibition support, and we have a space, a house that you can stay in while you're putting up your show, or if there's a reason why you need to come to Miami to do some research beforehand. We try to accommodate that as much as we can. Okay. So again, throw your questions into the chat as I go through things, and you can also reach me at submissions@locustprojects.org. Okay, sorry. So eligibility is a big one. We want to make sure that you fit our eligibility criteria. You can be from anywhere. The key factor is the work that the project that you're proposing is a new project, something that you have not exhibited before. We are giving you a production budget so that you can produce the project. That's a big key piece. So we get lots of questions about collaborative artist proposals. We certainly do accept them. Just keep in mind your support materials should help tell that story of your collaborative project. Whether you've worked together or not, if you haven't worked together, that somehow the things that you submit make sense for what you're proposing. We're interested in a variety of voices, social justice, race, identity. We're open to hearing whatever ideas that you have in your proposed projects. We have 2 different size budgets for the different spaces that we have. I've just kind of roughly broken it down here just to kind of highlight it for you. The main gallery has a production budget of about $7,500 and the project room of about $5,000. There's a $2,500 artist fee that is on top of that for either space. We do offer, some funds towards airfare if you need to fly here. I'm sorry. The artist fee is $2,500 for the main gallery and $1,500 for the project room. The airfare and the per diem is the same for both. As I mentioned, we have a house that is located just down the street from Locust Projects. You can walk to the gallery from there. 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. We get this question a lot about AV equipment. I've just put kind of a highlight together of some of the AV equipment we have. I can't tell you 100% that everything is in perfect working condition, but there's certainly things here that do work and are usable. If you have specific AV needs for your project, you probably want to make them inclusive of your budget. I'm just going to answer this one question about the collaborators do split the artist fee. So if you're applying as a collaborative group, you will split that $2,500 or that $1,500. So it's inclusive of the project. So I'm going to go through the AV equipment quickly again. There's, projectors, there's some speakers, amps, basic things like that. But again, if you need specific things for your project, then you should think about them within your budget. Question about, can you submit to both spaces, the main gallery and the project space? Yes, you can. They are very different spaces, so I would suggest that you probably have different projects. If you have one project that fits really well in the project room, it probably doesn't fit really well in the main gallery, and vice versa. So I want to just go through the 6 things that we're asking you for in the application, in the proposal. They're pretty straightforward, that most of these things are required in many proposals. So I'm just going to quickly go through them. So the project description, this is really I think the meat of what you're giving us. What is the project that you're proposing to us? You should be able to describe that in 500 words. Sometimes people want to integrate, some type of sketch or drawing in with the project proposal. That's fine to do. We, want to know what is it that you're proposing to us? What mediums are you using? What is your project idea? What are you trying to convey? Be, concise and clear. Then the second thing that we ask for is the floor plan and how you're using the space. So this is the main gallery. A lot of people, I get lots of questions about this as well, that people wondering, what are we looking for? We're looking for how you're using the space. So you can literally just draw onto the floor plan where, certain things are in your proposed project. One thing that confuses people a little bit about the floor plan is these AC ducts that have the arrows pointing to them. They're not walls, they are AC ducts. You'll see them in this picture. I'm going to show you right here. There's AC ducts. It's just to help you understand that the ceiling has some varying heights to it. Let me just see. And then there's another view of the main gallery. The project room, so this is the 400 square foot space. Has a garage door, which you can see here. Lots of questions come from, can the garage door be open during the exhibit? We're not opposed to it. It is Miami, it does rain, it is very hot. If there's a reason why the garage door needs to be open for your proposed project, just make sure that you include that within your project description. So then the next thing that we ask for is the artist statement in the CV. Again, very straightforward, nothing really out of the norm. I would be, concise with both of them. We don't need a CV that is more than a couple pages long. It's just to understand what you've done, where you've come from, and what you're doing. The image samples, so it's really up to you how you want to tell this story of your proposal. I would actually think about it as one kind of big story that you're telling us. You're telling us about this proposed project idea that you have, and you're giving us this background on yourself, of work that you've done, work that you're doing, so that we can understand where this project fits into the scope of your practice. So you can use these image samples as a combination of proposed sketches for your new project and examples of your previous work. I would keep in mind the things that the committee is thinking about as when they're reviewing the proposals. So we're thinking about the conceptual strength of your proposed project, the strength of your past work. So I definitely would include some past work so that we can see where you're coming from to understand where you're going. And we also look at, how you're using the space. Is it a unique or innovative approach to using the space? Is it a stepping off point of your practice that you're making a big leap forward, you're taking a risk? We look at feasibility, how feasible the project is in terms of you're telling us that story again with what you're proposing, what you've done before. If you propose that you want to cover the ceiling with diamonds, we're probably going to think, okay, well, this isn't feasible because this is way outside of the budget. So we do, we don't require you to provide a budget. If you have a project that you feel you might think that we would perceive as being out of budget, you can certainly put something in your project description, or you can also include a budget if you want, to make that clear. We are also interested in projects that have a community impact, social concerns. It's been a crazy year, and we want to represent all different types of voices, and look at projects that make a statement and express something. So the image sample list is all pretty straightforward, but again, I would definitely do a mix of your previous work and what you're proposing, just to help tell your story. If you have video samples, just embed those video links in your PDF. I'm just going to get through this one, and then I'm going to go back to all these questions that have popped up here. So remember, proposals are due on Saturday, February 6th at midnight Eastern. We're not going to accept any late proposals. Don't wait till the last minute. Sometimes there's things that happen with your internet. We only accept proposals through Submittable. So please send your PDF through Submittable that contains all of the things that we've asked for. All right, I'm going to go back to some of these questions here. See what I've missed. Okay, so there is a question about, does the space have internet access if our proposal requires it? Yes, there is internet access. I would just note it. something like that should be part of your project description, so we know what your project entails. Would an ongoing project that has exhibited before with all new presented and be eligible considered a new project? No, probably not. We're looking to help you produce a new project. So if it's a, I mean, you know, an ongoing project could mean anything, but we're looking to help support you create something new. How often does Locust Projects do an open call? That's a great question. We have been working on doing yearly open calls and splitting the main gallery and the project room and doing them 2 different times a year. This past year, things have been just a little bit hectic, and with programming and setting our schedule, that we ended up just pushing the open call and then putting them both together like this. But we're going to get back on the cycle of yearly, and hopefully that it's a predictable time each year that okay, the project room open call is always in the summer and the main gallery is always in the fall, or whatever it ends up being. Where does the budget fit into the proposal is another question. You can include it. We don't require it. It certainly can help tell your story if you have a complex project or something that would cause the committee any type of questions about the feasibility of it. Next question is, how open is Locust Projects to modifications of the existing floor structure? Would it be possible to drill into the floor? I would say it depends. Depends on what you're trying to do. We have had projects before where the space has been altered in that way. It did need to be accounted for in the budget. So if you're doing any type of project that involves doing something to the space that would cause repair, you should account for it in your budget. Are there images of the space that we can use for renderings? I have some images that I've sent when people have asked for them. You certainly can send an email and I'll send them to you. It's you can go about putting those renderings together any way that you want. The floor plan gives you the dimensions of the room, so it just can be a simple white room that you construct to make a rendering in, which is also fine. Can we use the lobby as well? There, as you saw on the floor plan, which I should go back to. Oops. There is a space, there's like this little sort of hallway space in front of the office and the lobby. If you have a project that, needs this extra space, you certainly can put it in your proposal and we can take a look at it. Let's see. Are composite images acceptable? For example, multiple images to depict a past installation. Yeah, that's fine. Anything, to better show what you're doing or what you've done is fine. Next question is, so for including a sketch of the proposed work, what is to be included in the 8 images, not in the proposal section itself? I'm not sure I understand the question exactly, but I'll answer it to the best of my knowledge here. So for the sketch, we're looking at you to show us with the floor plan how you're using the space in the main gallery or the project room, depending on what you're applying for. With the 8 images, as I spoke about before, if I was submitting, I would probably submit a combination of previous work and some examples of what this proposed work is, whether it's just a sketch or if it's a rendering, anything to help us visualize what you're trying to do. Next question is Locust Projects open to supporting architectural interventions? I'm not sure exactly what the architectural intervention is, but as I answered previously on another question, if there's something that you need to change in the space, you just need to account for it in your budget. I mean, there are some limitations. The space is something that we rent and do not own. So there are, definitely some constrictions, but we're certainly open to hearing whatever you have to propose. I have another question here, which is, when are you announcing the selected projects? And also, I would like to know if the artist is going to have help while preparing the exhibition. So the proposals are due February 6th. By the end of March, we will have had the committee, and we will be getting in touch with artists. We do help you, yes, while you're preparing for the exhibit. So you do get curatorial support from Locust Projects. We have staff to help install. That's a ongoing conversation and relationship with you once we do accept your project. We want to make it as successful as possible. Would compiled images sharing multiple shots of views be installed? Yes, I already answered that. When would projects be scheduled is the question. We are looking to fill slots in 2021, 2022 currently. Another question here. This person says, for instance, a conceptual project that has previously been exhibited with different works, but proposed with new works. It's a little hard for me to answer that question without really knowing what the project is. But again, our mission is to support the production of new projects, and we're looking to help expand your practice too. So we're looking to give you the opportunity to make a work in a space that maybe you haven't had before, that steps off from your current practice. There's a question about, is there a specific format for the PDF? Does it need to be set to 8 by 11? There isn't a specific format. I mean, standard 8 by 11 is preferable. Next question is, do you often show emerging artists with limited showing opportunities? We show artists at all points in their career, emerging, mid-career. We don't gear it more towards one or the other. So we want to hear from you. Here's a question. Could you explain the scheduled dates for the year programming? Our work is very much rooted in the human body and connection, and want to work with COVID restrictions in mind. I mean, we're certainly open to hearing from you. I mentioned, we're trying to program for 2021, 2022. Another question about the time frame. Can a temp wall be built over the garage door? Yes, you certainly can do that. Again, just account for it in your project budget. Does the project need to relate to Florida or Miami, or can it be more broad? It does not have to relate to Florida or Miami. It can relate to Florida, Miami. We're open to either case. The gallery is located in Miami, but we certainly do not show only things that centralize my ideas about Miami. We're looking for all types of voices and expressions. Okay, next question. If we want to submit to both spaces, would that mean 2 separate submissions? Yes, it definitely does. Do not submit the same thing, the same proposal to both the main gallery and the project room. Again, because the 2 spaces are very different. The project most likely will not work in one space or the other. You need to gear it towards the space. I read every single one of these proposals, so I will see it if you submit the same thing to both. So please, submit a project that fits the space. They're very different. 1,500 square feet is very different from 400. Is the project eligible if we have started it, but not have the funds to complete it or exhibit it? Yes. Yeah. If you've started an idea, but it hasn't been fully realized, then yes, absolutely propose that to us. What kind of social distancing measures should proposals take into account? Well, it depends on it depends on, I guess, if your proposal is selected and when it would be exhibited. If your project is hindered by the current state of things of COVID-19, don't be concerned. But if it's a project that is selected to be exhibited in 2021, then I would expect that the normal sort of social distancing practices are going to be in place. The gallery is taking visitors by appointment, so we're not having large groups of people in there at once. So it's just a factor of reality at the moment. Can I apply the submission if my project already exists? That's already been answered, sorry. If I plan on a performance being a small part of the project, would you need specifics now? Or can I note stating intentions as an added extra in the installation be enough for the info? If I describe the rest of the work in detail. If you have a performance that's part of your project, I would definitely include it in your project description. If you don't know the absolute specifics of everything that's happening, I think that's fine. But I think to have a performance included in your project, there's got to be enough of a concept behind it for it to be there. Can the garage door be covered by a fake wall? We couldn't ask that already. Yes, just include it in your budget. What is the max time one can spend preparing and setting up? We try not to put hard rules around things like that. If you have a project where you need 3 weeks to prep for and set up, just include that in your project description. We try to use the Locust Projects residency house to the best of its you know, use for the artists that we're trying to facilitate, you know, your project and what you're trying to do. So I don't have a hard answer for that question. Do you have staff who can support the install? Yes, there is staff that helps with the install. There's a question that says, for the last exhibit, Meta activated the space with many events and performances. Is that something that needs to be included in the proposal initially and accounted for in the budget, or does it come later when the project is complete? You should include that. That should be part of your project description. If you have performances or certain events that are part of your proposed project, you definitely should include them in that 500-word description. If I did a mock-up image of the project, does this count as one of the 8 images? Yes. So you can use that, there's the floor plan rendering, which is one. So you could use a mock-up image there if you wanted, instead of actually physically drawing on the floor plan. But as I mentioned earlier, with those 8 images, I would, if I was submitting, I would do a combination of my proposed project and my past work. Oops. Sorry. Are sketches okay as opposed to renderings? Absolutely. Lobby, we prefer, oh, that's Lori answering a question about the lobby. There's the, actually, I'm gonna share a different screen with you for a second. I would hope that you guys have checked out our website. That's a great way to see past projects that we've shown before, and to understand our space if you don't. So hopefully right now you're seeing one of our past projects. This is the little corridor, I guess, that's right past the lobby. I just wanted to show you that you know, we do use parts of these spaces in addition to the main gallery if the project needs it. And then, yeah, here's a view of the project room. That's the side that doesn't have the garage door. Does the budget allow for professional workshop talks, guest fees, flat fees for local professionals to participate? If your project, you know, has other participants that you want to include in some type of workshop, that's just a conversation you can have with us. You can mention it in your proposal so we understand that. Does a sketch rendering count as one of the 8 images? No, it's separate, it's additional. What about striking the installation and disposal of parts? Is that part of the budget? That is an excellent question, and I'm so glad you asked that. One thing to keep in mind with Locust Projects is we are a not-for-profit space. We are not selling your work belongs to you. You need to account for any shipping of materials to the gallery and from the gallery as part of your budget. So if you create a project and you want the elements of it sent back to your studio, account for that cost. Next question is there a limit number of renderings that can accompany a proposal? 8 is the what you have to work from, which is a combination of your proposed project and your past work. If we are traveling artists, is it important we prioritize a connection to Miami or not specifically? No, you don't need to have a connection to Miami. How much weight can be suspended from the ceiling? I don't have that exact number for you. I mean, you can see the ceiling is wood there. So there's beams. If something needs to be suspended, certainly you can spread that weight across the beams. Would both project room 1 and 2 be dedicated to the artist's work or to different artists? So we're asking, I'm going to go back to the floor plan. Bear with me. Okay, so project room 1, oops, is the 400 square foot project room that we're asking for proposals. Project room 2 has been functioning as another project space where we've been screening projects, but we're looking for the one for project room 1. Okay. Here's a question. Are you open to possible legality issues of performance? For example, the discharge of modified small chamber firearms where there is no real projectile to speak from. Well, we're not really interested in legal issues, but we are open to hearing whatever your proposed work is, and in the case of not physically firing something, that safety is obviously concern for us, but you certainly can propose it. If one is proposing a video project, should the piece be entirely done? Can it be produced in the space? The proposed, our expectation of the projects that you guys are proposing to us are not completely done, since we're helping you produce the work. So if you have an idea for a video project and you have, some clips or something to help, or explain what you're trying to do, that's great. Okay, we got another question here. How involved during the exhibition period can the staff be? Meaning if there needs to be facilitation of machinery or daily prep, is that an issue? If there's something that needs to happen every day, then that's just some instruction that you can provide. I would make that clear in your project proposal so that we understand what it entails. But we do have staff in this space, and anything certainly within reason we want to support. Would a project that is a new entry in an ongoing series be considered new or possibly disqualify the proposal? I've tried to touch upon this as much as possible. We're looking to help you produce new work. So if it's just a continuation of something that you're doing, it's probably not going to be as competitive as giving us a proposal that's a new project. Does Locust Projects have a contingency plan if the artist was not able to travel to Miami because of COVID restrictions? We know that it's a complicated time right now. So if your proposal is, selected to be exhibited, we will work out those dates with you so that it works for both of us. How do you know that your PDF is not more than 5 megabytes? If you can just look at the size of the PDF. The document will tell you how big it is if you look at it. Are we supposed to include a project budget? You don't have to, but you certainly can. Is there a potential that you receive a proposal for one space and make a decision that's better suited for another? Yes, sometimes that does happen. It has happened in the past before. We might see that something works way better in the main gallery or way better in the project room, and you've applied for one or the other. There's a question about, I didn't see a budget requirement in the submittable. Should that be sent separately if it's submitted? No, if you want to submit a budget, if it helps tell your story, then put it in that PDF. Okay. Regarding eligibility, would it be okay if a member of the collaborative duo is a graduate student in a low residency summer program? No, if you're a collaborative group, you both should be artists that are not in a degree seeking program. You should not be a student. Can we have work that allows touching of the work if we have hand sanitizer stations? Yes. Also, it's possible if your project is very conducive to touching it, it might be better programmed for a time when COVID isn't such an issue. Would it be okay to collaborate with artists we meet in Miami? Yes, that's fine. Is there a studio space to work the artwork before the exhibition? No, you can use the gallery. So, if you're going to do, say, a 2-week installation, you can use the gallery space to build the project. There's, basic tools there also. Another question about hanging from the ceiling. Yes, you can hang pieces from the ceiling within reason. Where in the proposal should details about the budget be included? Just put it in the PDF. With the CV, if it's a group of artists who haven't previously shown together, should the artist list separate shows, or how should we structure the CV? That's a good question. I get this one a lot. Again, you're trying to tell a story. So if I was submitting, a collaborative proposal to Locust Projects, and my collaborative group maybe hadn't really shown together before, I would probably try to put together maybe a 2-page CV mixing, the various artists in there and the experience that they have, just to help, again, tell the story about feasibility and kind of understand, how the work can be achieved. Can the walls be painted black? Sure, just, anything like that, that's going to be part of your budget. Can you confirm, is the sketch rendering counted as one of the 8 images? It is not, it is additional. What is the lighting situation in the project gallery? There's lights in there, so they're lights that can move around and light your project however it is that you need it to be. What is the duration of the proposed exhibit? The duration time can vary. 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks is more standard. For collaborators who have not worked together, is it advised that we submit individual CDs? I would again, just get your CV into 2 pages and make it clear the experience that you have. Images of past work can explain visually the proposed work with drawn rendering images. Yes. Do you have additional short-term storage space after de-installation? I mean, not really. So, when the installation changes over, there's the time that the next artist is installing to, briefly store and pack the previous show. You must get a lot of proposals. We do. Are you able to give feedback on rejected proposals? It's really difficult to give feedback because we do get so many proposals in. I'm an artist myself, so I, try to, give feedback really whenever possible, but it is difficult to get to them all. Okay, let's see. Do you have any a metal shop or wood shop? No, but we do have wood tools. There's, some circular saws and various wood cutting tools available. There is not a metal shop there. If there's certain, things that you need like that, we can help, facilitate them with connections and people that we know in Miami. Is there a limit to how many video samples, GIFs can be embedded within the 8 image samples? Well, I wouldn't submit any more than 8. Can I expose images and or clothes? I'm not sure I understand that question. Do we have to be present for the deinstall? You don't. If for the deinstall, if the expectation is the work goes back to you, as long as everything is clear in terms of what needs to be done, and you've accounted for, the shipping cost and packing cost, you do not have to be there. Is it possible to share examples of drawings or renderings you liked? I'm not sure I understand that question. You only have, you want to know drawings, renderings we've liked. No, I mean, it's a very loose thing that we're looking for. We're not, there's no, sort of grand thing. Our expectation is we're just trying to understand what you're trying to show us. What is the project you're proposing? How does it use that space? It can be as informal, as formal as you want it to be, whatever helps tell your story. Another question that says, to clarify, the floor plan does not count towards the 8. That is correct. But any renderings do count. That is correct. Yes. Can the walls be painted on? Yes. How many artists are you choosing and how long is each exhibit? We don't have a set, I don't have a set number to tell you in either case there. Let's see. Do we need to account for returning the walls to white afterwards? Yes, that should be part of your budget. Do you select proposals from current students who will have graduated by the time of the exhibit? No, if you're a student, you should not apply to this. This is not the program for you, or wait till you're not a student. How many proposals on average do you tend to receive? For how many slots available? So in the past open call that we ran, I would say we received about 350 proposals for both the main gallery and the project room. From that, maybe 5 were selected. Okay. Where can we include process videos of past work? In your PDF, so just make links in your PDF so we can see the videos. Can it be the artwork description of the finished work that is included in the 8 samples, or the link is considered another artwork? We want 8 samples of your work. So whether it's video or it's images or it's renderings, 8 samples of your work is what we're looking for. Lori chiming in about the duration, 8 to 10 weeks. Question, are documentation and promotional materials covered by Locust Projects? Yes, they are. Okay, well, did I make it to the end of those questions? Okay. I did make it through those questions. So any other questions, certainly send them through. Otherwise, oops. You can send me an email. I will, hopefully get to it before the proposal deadline, but I do check the emails every day. And hopefully you have a better understanding of what we're looking for. Thank you all for joining. Okay, wait, here's another question. Can you propose something similar to something proposed and not selected previously? Yeah, I meant to mention that one. That is a good question. If you've proposed a project previously, I would say you probably need to have built upon it significantly. If it didn't make it through the first time, yes, there's a different committee every time, but I would say as long as you make advancements or significant changes to it, then you can submit it again. Are any pre-existing ceiling mounts or light restrictions? There's lights in the space. I'm not sure I understand. We help the artists light the space how it's needed. So if you have some very specific lighting needs, just make sure it's included in your proposed project so that we understand it. Okay. Where can we access the slides video after this anywhere? I'll have to get back to you on that one. I don't have that answer at this moment. Are scent-based projects allowed? Yes, if you have a project that is scent-based, certainly propose it to us. Okay. So I'm just trying to see if I missed anything here. Well, hopefully I got to all those questions. It feels like I got to the end there. So again, thank you all for joining us, and good luck on your proposals. And that's pretty much it.